The Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting occurred on December 14, 2012, when a 20-year-old man shot and killed 26 people, including 20 children of 6 and 7 years old. On June 12, 2016, a 29-year-old man killed 49 people and injured 53 in a nightclub in Orlando, in Florida. On October 1st, 2017, almost 59 people were killed and 527 were injured in Las Vegas when a gunman opened a fire from the 32nd floor of Mandalay Bay of Casino and Resort. Each of these mass murders were called that days the deadliest shooting in modern US history until the next one happened. And I want to ask you a question. Do you have kids? Do they go to school? Do you go to Vegas sometimes? Because we do, and we stay in Mandalay Bay. Do you go to nightclubs? As George Santayana said, to know your future, you must know your past. And we understand that the new shooting can happen anywhere, anytime, to any of us. There were 14,400 gun-related homicides in 2019, which makes nearly 3/4 of all homicides in the US in that year. There is a large proportion of homicides than in Canada, England, and any other countries. You can see the international comparison with 73% in the United States. US public opinion on gun laws has fluctuated over recent years. I'm sure all of you sitting in this room have your own opinion at this problem. We do have laws that's supposed to protect us from murders, but the problem is that these laws are not implemented effectively and have loopholes used by organizations and people that make profits from selling firearms. I want you to look at this problem from different angles and understand that proper regulation of the firearms industry and our attitude can prevent gun violence, not just in the case of mass shootings, but also in the case of domestic violence, suicide, community violence. Figures from the US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show there were a total of more than 39,000 deaths from guns in 2019, and it's 60% of them were suicides the same year. While it is difficult to know exactly how many guns are in the hands of civilians around the world, we can say that the United States is in the first row with a 390 million population. For 100 citizens, United States has 120 and a half firearms. This is scary. As I said earlier, there are laws. Under federal law, you can't buy a gun if you are a convicted felon, have been convicted for certain drug crimes, are the subject of a domestic violence protective order, are in the United States illegally, are deemed mental defective. At the first look, looks good, right? So let's take an example with New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, the right to bear arms is protected by the state's constitution. You don't need a license to purchase a firearm in New Hampshire. You also are not required to register your gun. Yes, the licensed firearm dealers must conduct a background check on the person who wants to purchase a gun. And federal law prohibits the possession of firearm by anyone who is mental defective, as we know. But that's what's a pity. New Hampshire keeps mental health records confidential and does not therefore provide them to the national database used to perform the background check. Another loophole is that the regulation of background check does not apply in private sales made at gun shows. Another federal law bans private ownership of assault weapons expired in 2004. And exactly these weapons were used in high-profile mass shootings such as the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting. There is another problem like ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, which fails to regulate gun dealers who are non-compliant. Imagine one gun store had hundreds of firearms missing from its inventory. Another transferred a weapon to a convicted felon in a parking lot. And many more sold guns to prohibited buyers without even checking their background. The sweeping analysis that uncovered these law-breaking gun dealers was possible only because the gun control organization Brady waged a years-long legal fight to compel the ATF. While the National Rifle Association, NRA, campaigns against all forms of gun control in the United States, the more guns make the country safer, it says. And it is among the most powerful lobby groups in the US with a huge budget to influence members of Congress on gun policy. We know that these deaths are a predictable outcome of our country's lack of political will to make a change and an underinvestment in prevention approaches that work. Look how much gun rights groups spent comparing to gun control groups. You see them in red. Yes, this is the situation. The recommendations below illustrate the comprehensive strategies that, if implemented together, can significantly reduce gun violence, and we can achieve safety in our homes, communities, and schools. First, sensible gun laws have to be implemented. Reduce easy access to dangerous weapons, requiring universal background checks without loopholes, instituting waiting periods. Establish a culture of gun safety. Reduce firearm access to youth and individuals who are at risk of harming themselves and others. Hold the gun industry accountable and ensure that there is adequate oversight over the making and marketing and sales of guns and ammunition. Engage responsible gun dealers and owners in solutions. Insist on mandatory training and licensing for owners. As our families, communities, and country reel from terrible daily tragedies, we must vote to change our culture and our policies and to stop this cycle of violence. We should be able to live in our homes, send our children to school, go and shopping in our local malls, and just walking in the neighborhoods and streets without any fear to being shot. In conclusion, I want to say that today we have talked about the scary situation, the violence and danger of living this situation as it is now, but there are ways to change it in order to have a peaceful life as a citizens of this great country. We can start changing it now by donating to fight the NRA to pass sensible gun legislation and put an end to gun violence in America. Every day more than 100 Americans are killed with guns, but with your support, we are willing building momentum that can change it. Please take an action and support changes like I outlined above to prevent the violence. Thank you.